Good afternoon, everyone from Singapore and my fellow scientific learning community. It's a pleasure to be part of this Asian Adult Education Pre-Conference that is being held in University of Georgia. Unfortunately, I can't be there in person as I have another presentation to give. But nevertheless, I'll try and make this sharing interactive, as well as share nuggets on how failure and mistakes may be leveraged towards innovation, teaching, and learning, yet building a complex problem-solving skills as well as resiliency towards an innovative workforce. So in today's session, I will try and keep it short, of course, and I'll talk about the Productive Failure Project. I'll share some of the findings and just a moment, yeah, the laser pointer, and about our learners survey, as well as what benefits did our AEs and learners, find as part of this journey, and maybe some tips on how you could work failure into your design and delivery of teaching and learning. So let me begin by asking you, what is learning? So just take a moment to reflect of what does it mean to you on learning. The QR code is on screen, and just take the URL if you would like, and just in a word or so, try and answer that. So organizers, you might want to pause the video here, give them around 2 minutes or so. I shall move forward. All right. So you may or may not have answered like so on screen, but people often relate learning as knowledge, as acquisition of skills or transfer, and something, from the giver to the acceptor. So interestingly, in learning sciences, I think we are moving away from teach me and I will learn concept, and more towards if learning can not just make us independent, it can make us agile, it can make us, you know, it can inculturate this aspect where we are not afraid of making mistakes, or we are ready to embrace generative AI or whatever comes on board. So that is what in at least in our space we hope learning creates that space for you as well. So moving on with this big idea about what is learning and what it might think what you might think of it. This is what even at IEL, the Institute for Adult Learning, is trying to inculcate in our adult educators, and hoping that our adult educators out there teaching and teaching the Singapore workforce also embraces. But to be honest, you might think that this might be difficult to achieve, and or rather it doesn't yield the necessary outcomes or measured performance metrics that people are used to in daily life. And this is exactly the same mindset of which learning design and learning delivery is currently facing with our evolving world challenges. Perhaps the greatest one to acknowledge would be, informed by our global transformations that are impacting learning in this volatile, ambiguous, complex space. The WEF report, even the, let me have the laser pointer out again. The WDEF report, as well as Singapore's, strategic forecast report. There are several macro trends that are actually suggesting that core competencies and skills and critical thinking, communication, learning agility, these skills are essential for our workforce to navigate in the current spaces we are in. So having said that, So having said that, and against, these macro trends that are shaping our policy, are shaping our policy mandate, the question that arises is, can teaching and learning really help address these evolving workforce needs better? So, and also another deeper challenge comes that, when technology is advancing, is emerging, there is not just immersive tech that's coming up, but also the generative space of artificial intelligence. So how would such learning experiences that are that engages the learner in mastery of content, critical thinking, critical core skills towards agility in learning be created? And in this for this particular backdrop and space, this is where productive failure is an interesting concept. It is definitely well established since the 2008s, but it was more towards the K20 or the pre-employment, and now at IAL we brought this concept of learning from failure for our adult workers, our adult workforce, and our adult traders. So, what this is, let me share a bit about it. Productive failure is relevant as it creates an environment where learners, can immerse themselves as disciplined experts to gain deep perspectives through maybe role playing, embodying experts' habits while traversing, ambiguous, complex, and unforeseen environments. So it is contrary to your traditional teaching and learning, where you are exposed to maybe a slide deck or an introduction video, and then you are required to do some problem solving, or you're required to you watch a demo and then you practice and drill and practice. So here you are immersed with the problem even before you are taught about it. You are given the space to generate and explore, as well as engage with your peers, engage with the immersive tech, or wherever the situation immersive learning is created, and then the facilitator, who's the guide, comes on board towards knowledge assembly and leading the consolidation. So the consolidation phase is also extremely important, because that is what distinguishes productive failure approach from a generic problem-based learning approach. So problem solving, sharing, learning, and then followed by consolidation. So as shared earlier, PF has also been applied in higher education and doctorate programs. And there is a wide scale range and redesign in this for pre-university spaces. Recently at IAL, we consolidated our productive failure project for adult and lifelong learning. We had around 8 different sectors, educators, adult educators joining us. They were from urban environment, from healthcare, from coaching, from people management. Of course, some were also from English language and teaching, critical core skills. And we had Manu Kapoor, who was the creator of PF, partner with us in this journey. And definitely it was difficult, because it's the concept of failure, what the psychology behind failure, how exactly necessary, space for learning is to be created. Then would audience be, up for it? And so we did like more of experimental project, where more of a proof of concept, where this established pedagogy of productive failure, we know it works for the PET, for the pre-employment, but now let's test it out for our adult space. So that is what the objective was towards, that is what the agenda was towards an objective that PF would help develop critical core skills that are essential for the workforce of today. All right. So this PF project, as designed for the IEL folks, was around a year and a half. And we began with a foundation session, and then we had an experimentation, verification, and finally a consolidation session. Here in the foundation session, we got Manu Kapoor, the creator of PF, as well as a few others to share how productive failure was can be incorporated, what it is, the nicks and knacks on PF. And then we went on to experimenting and evaluating, or rather getting the AEs on board to do a first develop hands-on train the trainer session, and they designed their learning sessions. They piloted it. They tested whether PF in their space would work or not, and they would share their reflections. The same happened in another round, and we also did some interim evaluation, whether AEs are just checking on whether all is going well, if the areas for help is needed, and how could we better engage our learners or our AEs. And final was in consolidation, where altogether the report and sharing reflections was consolidated. Our report is available on our webpage, so do take a look. Okay. Next, let me share some results and findings with you. So as part of this project or program, we found, or rather it was established, that PF has certain design principles, and this is where the productive failure journey is. So you are, it's already a step up from a general learning design principles that we might all be familiar with, like scaffolding, providing feedback, looking for metacognition, providing variety. This is the basis for learning. However, PF goes a step up, and it's looking towards, creating these well-designed, complex activities for the aptitude of your learner. Could be adult, could be a schoolgoer. Then creating this safe space, psychologically safe space, not just in the learning, but even in their working space, where they can test out problems. And then having interactions between different groups of learners, mixed ability grouping, and the role of the trainer. So this would eventually have learners activate their own prior knowledge, and build on their long-term memory, as well as their awareness of their own knowledge gaps, more than the teacher telling them that this is where your gap is. They are self identifying and reflecting, and and this is more towards assembly of their own learning. And finally, in this entire space, it would lead to agility in learning, and it would, given the many complex problems and given the mixed ability grouping that is taking place, learners are exposed, or rather we as educators provide them the opportunities to be exposed to complex problem solving spaces, which would lead to innovation at the workplace. Yes. Next, let me quickly share about some results and findings, and we'll begin with the learners survey. So what did our learners and AEs have to talk about? So we had approximately 80 learners per pilot. So if there were two rounds of phases, around 150 learners, and 7 to 8 classes per pilot. So these results do not reveal how well the respective trainer delivered the training, but it is more towards the experience of learners engaging, or your audience engaging with a different way of teaching and learning, which is more from a complex problem solving approach, compared to you tell me and I learn, or you show, I watch a video sorts. All right. For a frequency, so this is activity design. So productive failure, you would design your activity from an activity design perspective. Learners, a frequency average of 3.83 out of 5 was observed, and they felt that they were encouraged to challenge themselves. They were challenged to solve their own problems. They felt involved in the design. They felt that they learned from their own mistakes, even though they found the the variations, the complex problem solving challenging, but yet the environment created was supportive enough. And they were also encouraged to identify important features by themselves, and not really the teacher telling them that, this is the direction you must go and this is the direction you must go, but rather they themselves navigating this VUCA space that was created. And also another interesting aspect was that learners assembled their own knowledge with the guidance of teachers, not someone else assembling your knowledge for you and you just copying down notes. Right. So the next was again a 3.80 average, and this is more towards how participant structure or how safe they felt when given to challenge each other's idea or ideate or improvise on each other's thoughts. So definitely they were not just challenged for their own thoughts and felt supported, but they also were felt it was safe to constructively challenge fellow learners' ideas and solutions, work towards each other's ideas and solutions, think out of the box towards divergent thinking. And the trainer was able to work on learner generated answers, not just, there is no one model answer, but learner generated answers. Then the social surround, or rather again, were learners continuously feeling supported, and or were they hurried for content delivery and multiple times, we must finish this set of so on and so forth, or there was enough space to try. So they were definitely encouraged to generate and explore ideas. They felt supported, they were motivated, and they dealt to know about the know-how of improving their own ideas. Again, a 3.865. Do note that this is an experience of the learners, and this was a pilot, not a few other rounds. So hopefully when the trainer does more, they are also familiar and they are more nuanced in the same space. Another interesting aspect that I would just like to highlight is when we are doing the productive failure approach, we don't tell them that you are part of this lesson where, we are doing, you're going to fail or something. We just expose them that this is going to be a different lesson. It is still safe. There might be some mistakes that would happen, but let's go. Let's take it all together and go one step at a time. So that is the safe space that is important to be created, rather than creating confusion. And as what might be some of the benefits that learners felt? That of course they themselves felt that they were, there was a lot of experience that was shared. There was deeper understanding amongst each other. They were able to see the underlying mechanisms by themselves of trial and error testing, several rounds of how scientific testing also works in non-scientific spaces. So it's kind of getting the scientific way of thinking, testing, trial, error towards novel problem solving into a non-scientific space. The adult educators also felt that the learners had greater ownership in learning. There was higher engagement, less of phones, because when you're this adult learner, you tend to answer work emails. You probably just get disengaged when there's too much of talking happening. But when there is all doing hands-on, you're required to be involved in this group group activities and so on. And just to mention, this our project was not just with any adult educator. The variety of learners was also important. We tested it with very senior learners as well, 65 to 70 age group, people who are not so advanced in their English language or in their intellectual space, where the blue collar, white collar, different kinds of jobs were also exposed. Trainings were also exposed to the productive failure way of teaching and learning, because the concept lies. All right. And then here are some of our, experiential learning snippets that I'd like to talk about. And I'm just looking at the time. I think I've spoken a lot. And you can read more about it on our webpage, as I shared. And finally, if you would like to take productive failure forward, do note that balancing problem solving with content, time, expertise, a strong disposition of the educator being able to stand in this VUCA space where learners would probably looking up to you and thinking that how come you are not telling me the answer, because they are used to it. So you should the educators need to have this strong disposition in managing confusion and challenging, given there's a mindset shift that is needed. And don't give the fidelity is important. Learning and learner dynamic groups are important, but the level of the problem solving has to be within the space of the learner's cognitive level, not extremely difficult that they are frustrated. And with that, I would just like to say thanks. Do keep in touch. Again, if there are any questions or queries, please do write in. And remember to scan the QR code to learn more about our initiatives, read about this project. And that's it for me at 25 minutes now. Thank you. Bye-bye.